hear this? What is that? Everyone from Manhattan, New York City, and from a very deserted Times Square. As you can see, it's completely empty of tourists nowadays. It's a Saturday of July 2020, post-COVID lockdown phase. That's why there are no tourists, and you can see Times Square so deserted. It's pretty impressive. Anyway, today we're gonna bike along Broadway all the way from Times Square to the tip of the island of Manhattan, Battery Park. Let's go. Something that I discovered is that Broadway is actually one of probably the oldest street in Manhattan. It was originally a trail made by the Native Americans, and then when the Dutch came, started to transform it, and then it took the name Broadway with the British occupation of Manhattan. So the British actually broadened the trail, and that's why this street was called Broadway, because it was probably the broadest one in Manhattan. And it's been later a two-direction street for a lot of time before it became a one-way street like today. Actually, one other thing that I didn't know, I discovered recently, is that Broadway goes along not only the whole Manhattan, so from the southern tip to Upper West Side and up to the Bronx also. So it goes along the whole Bronx, and then it arrives in Yonkers. I think it stops in the county of Westchester. So it's an extremely long road. I had no idea. I've always considered Broadway something very Manhattan-y. Oh, here I have to change. I always forget. There's always a tricky part at the level of 32nd Street, I think, where you need to cross the street, the car road, in order to continue on Broadway. I always forget. Anyway, the fact that Broadway is only one direction, it obviously depends on which part we are talking about because it's so long. But the part that we are doing today is all in one direction, as far as I know. Very soon we're gonna arrive to one of the most famous buildings of the whole New York City. Here we're gonna have Madison Square Park on our left, which is a very nice and quiet oasis almost in the middle of Midtown here. It's a very, very nice park. I like it. They have tables and chairs, you can sit down. But it's not content for today. Today, Broadway. And you can see in front of us we have the Flatiron building, which unfortunately at this time is covered by scaffoldings. I guess it's better so for all the tourists that are not coming to New York in this period and are not going to be disappointed by the fact of not being able to even see the Flatiron building. All right, so here we have to cross. So we're leaving the Flatiron building on our right to continue on Broadway now. And here we are arriving in a moment in Union Square. The famous Union Square was one of the centers of the recent protests last month, month of June 2020, protest against racism. And it is also famous for its farmers market, which you can see right now. So many people here, I'm telling you. Sorry, I try not to talk when I'm very close to pedestrians because I'm not wearing a mask, as you can notice by the sound of my voice. So I was telling you that these days New York, or at least Manhattan, because that's where I live, it feels very, very empty. I would say you can see probably not more than half of the usual number of people that there are around. Many moved out of the city. Many are still probably locked down in their apartments, or they don't go out so often, me included. This is the front of Union Square. And at this farmers market today, you could see so many people then, so many more people than the usual numbers these days. Crossing 14th Street, another big artery of the traffic of Lower Manhattan. Do you say artery of traffic? I hope so. Otherwise it would sound very weird. Here is where Broadway is going to start being very, very straight. We are passing on our left now Astor Place. Astor Place is a place that basically divides the West Village from the East Village, and Broadway 2 as a long road that goes in the middle of the island. I think it's the border between East Village and West Village. So at this point we are having on our left Tompkins Square Park, which is the main park of the East Village. On the right side we have Washington Square Park, the main park of the Greenwich Village. Here we're about to cross Houston. You can see it in that direction. There is Williamsburg Bridge. Houston is another big artery of traffic that goes west-east or east-west, both directions. So where we were biking now, it's called NoHo because it means north of Houston. So which means that now that we crossed Houston, we entered Soho, south of Houston. Soho is mainly, I believe, on our right. I might be wrong. Anyway, this entire area is Soho. As you can see, the famous Spring Street, fancy street for boutiques and I don't know, fashion stuff. I might be wrong, honestly. I'm not a fashion girl, as you know, guys. Now we're gonna cross Spring Street, which is the other famous street of Soho. Here there are so many art galleries. It's actually pretty nice. The first time I came to New York City, I remember one afternoon I had nothing to do. I was in the West Village. I had to wait to meet a person for a few hours. I just came to Spring Street and I just visited all the free entrance galleries that there are there. Contemporary art. was very nice. Broome Street, another famous one. And this was, you see there are still signs. This part of Broadway has been, based on my experience, the first one that has been hit by the, not only the protests, but especially the riots. So it was, I believe, the 1st of June, 2nd of June, or 30th of May. It was anyhow around those days where one morning I went out of my apartment to take my usual bike ride, and it was very early, like 5-6 in the morning, and I was biking along a completely empty Broadway at that time of the day, and I started seeing crushed windows of banks, of shops, of stores. I started seeing vandalisms. Also, this one is, I hope is the right name in English, vandalisms. Anyway, this is Canal Street, another super trafficked street, super trafficked. Canal Street tends to be also a little bit more dangerous than others, especially for bikers or pedestrians. The sidewalk is not very big. And here on our left we have Chinatown. This whole area on our left is Chinatown, whereas on our right we have the fancier part of Lower Manhattan, so Tribeca. I think Tribeca should have already started. It's from here forward. Whoa, look at this building. Every time I pass here, I look up. It's so impressive. Ugly, but very impressive. And on the right we have some nicer buildings. Old ones. Let's go, let's go. Okay. The streets, as you can see, are pretty empty. So it's a pleasure to bike. There's some real Instagram moments in New York City. The whole road to myself with my little bicycle. That's wonderful. Here we're getting into the financial district on our left. Right after Chinatown there is the financial district. That's how Chinatown restaurants became famous back in the days. On the right we have the World Trade Center right now. You're gonna see what I'm talking about in a moment. And here is the moment where I start looking up basically constantly, which makes the bike ride very dangerous and also very, very slow. I hope you're gonna bear with me. Equitable building on our left. Other beautiful buildings. Trinity building. Don't know what this is, but I think it's beautiful. And then we have this church. Look at the contrast of the church in the middle of all these modern buildings. I mean, the church is also modern, but I think it's mocking a little bit the Gothic style, late Gothic. That was beautiful, wasn't it? This building is also very interesting. The facade has this, I think this is Art Deco considered. This is Bowling Green Park, I think it's called. And this is something that you might recognize. Very, very touristy spot. The Charging Bull. I had never seen the Charging Bull empty without people before the COVID. And even nowadays you can see still people coming here to take pictures. This is the Green Bowling Park. And I guess this is the end of Broadway. Yeah. Let's see at the last sign. This is the last sign of Broadway, number 1 to 27. Just to finish this video, since we are in front of the Battery Park, I'm gonna go to Battery Park. Look, this place is so empty, it's crazy. Guys, I didn't show you the World Trade Center from Broadway for some reason. I skipped it. But there you go. Wonderful view of the Freedom Tower. And a few meters away, wonderful view of the Statue of Liberty. Well, this is the first time I come here. Yeah, no, I look very ridiculous with this thing on my head, but I just wanted to tell you that you have no idea how beautiful of an atmosphere it is here. Statue of Liberty. This is all the Hudson River. That's the waterfront of Jersey City. And I don't know what pier this is. I think it's always closed because it's restaurant owned or something like that. I've never been able to come here, so this is my very first time because of the lockdown. hope you enjoyed this bike ride, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!